All right, let's get into it. Today, we're looking at what feels like two completely different Australias existing at the same time. One is a story of crisis, the other is a story of freedom. And we're going to explore how these two tales might just connect in a way you'd never expect. And this quote from Kate Colvin really just hits you, doesn't it? It frames the problem so clearly. We're not just looking at numbers here. We're talking about a system that's failing people when they need it the most, when the help is often coming way, way too late. And this number, this is the scale of that failure. 353. That's the average number of times every single day that someone asks for help with homelessness and gets nothing. Just think about that. It shows you just how completely overwhelmed the system is right now. So, first up, let's really dig into the hard data. We're talking about a system that from every angle looks like it's at a breaking point. Now, what this chart shows us is the trajectory. And honestly, it's alarming. The number of people who are already homeless when they finally reach out for help, that's up 6%. Even more worrying, the number of people sleeping rough is up 12%. And those daily unassisted requests we just mentioned, they've jumped a massive 18% in just 1 year. This isn't some static problem. It is actively getting worse, and it's getting worse fast. So who is this crisis hitting the hardest? Well, this is incredibly revealing. Almost 3/4 of everyone seeking help are women and children, and a huge driver there is domestic violence. We also see that First Nations people are hugely overrepresented, making up nearly a third of all clients. It's a crisis that's landing heaviest on the most vulnerable. Okay, now let's just do a complete 180, because while all of this is happening, another part of Australia is seeing this incredible boom in mobile living. It's a parallel story, all about life on the move. And the numbers here are just, wow, over 15 million trips in a year. That pumps 14 times billion dollars into the economy. This is not some niche little hobby anymore. It's a massive economic force, especially for regional areas where about 90% of these nights are spent. And check this out. The face of who's out there on the open road is changing big time. You know, we all think of the gray nomads, the retirees, and they are absolutely still a vital part of it all. But they're not the main drivers anymore. The new wave? It's younger. It's working-age adults and their families, who now make up almost half of all the trips. It's completely transforming the vibe of your local holiday park. So why now? Why is this happening? Well, it seems to be a kind of perfect storm of factors. For one, it's just more affordable than flying and staying in hotels. Parents are also really keen to get their kids outside, away from screens. But the real game changer has been remote work. It's untethered families from the office, letting them travel for weeks, sometimes even months. It's a mix of being practical and chasing a certain lifestyle. Okay, so you've got these two huge, separate trends happening: a devastating housing crisis and a joyful travel boom. And this is where a story takes a really interesting turn, with a pretty unconventional idea. What if the infrastructure of one could actually help solve the problems of the other? This is the big question, right? Can we take this explosion in caravanning, all the parks, the land, the demand, and somehow leverage it to create a real safety net for people who have nowhere else to turn? And what's so powerful is that this idea, it wasn't cooked up in some think tank. It came from lived experience. This quote is from the person who wrote the proposal we're about to dive into, someone who has been on the front lines of the housing system's failures. That gives this whole thing a kind of grounding in reality that's impossible to ignore. So, what is this proposal? It's called RERSS. That stands for Regional Energy and Resilience Site Strategy. The core idea is brilliant in its simplicity. Take something we already have, campsites, and basically supercharge them. Turn them into these self-funding hubs that do so much more than just host holidays. All right, so how on earth would this actually work in practice? Let's break down the mechanics of what these hubs could look like. This is the absolute genius of the whole thing, what the author calls a zero-impact financial model. Here's how it works. Instead of making money from camping fees, you build a renewable energy plant right there on site. You sell the extra power to the grid, you offer EV charging for all those travelers, and that revenue pays for everything. The loans, the staff, the upkeep. It completely separates the cost of having a safe place to sleep from a person's ability to pay for it. And what's just wild is how this grassroots idea lines up perfectly with these huge global goals from the UN. It checks so many boxes. You're creating affordable and clean energy. You're building sustainable communities that can act as sanctuaries during floods or fires. you're ensuring clean water, and you're directly fighting poverty by giving people an ultra-low-cost place to live. It's a local idea with massive global relevance. And look, this isn't just some fantasy. There's already a proven playbook for finding the land. The RERSS proposal actually borrows from strategies used by motor caravan associations. It lays out clear, practical things to look for in a site, so it's not just a big idea, it's a scalable and totally realistic concept. So you might be wondering, what kind of tech would actually bring a vision like this to life? Well, let's open up the innovation toolkit because all of this stuff is available right now. First things first, energy. Forget those big, bulky, traditional panels. Think printed solar. It's this amazing, lightweight, flexible material that you can basically just roll out. It makes setting up these energy hubs incredibly fast and efficient. Next up, water. What if you didn't even need to be hooked up to the town's water supply? Well, atmospheric water generators are these incredible devices that can literally pull clean, drinkable water right out of the air. It guarantees a secure water supply, no matter how remote you are. And finally, shelter. To give people dignified transitional housing, you could use 3D printing. This tech can build low-cost, really durable little cabins in a fraction of the time it takes to do traditional construction. We're talking about getting someone out of a tent and into a safe, secure space fast. So let's just zoom out for a second for a final thought. Because an idea like this, it does more than just try to solve a crisis. It actually forces us to ask some pretty big questions about what home even means. And this is another quote from the RERS author that really sticks with you. It's not just a suggestion, it's a challenge. It's a call for leaders to own the failures of the past and have the courage to embrace new, honorable solutions, no matter how unconventional they seem. And that's what we're left with, this really provocative question. We've seen that the tech is there. We've seen that there's a practical way to find the land. And we've seen a financial model that's self-sustaining. So if all the pieces of the puzzle are sitting right there on the table, what's really stopping us from completely rethinking what home and community could be?